Hello everyone, so today we're going to discuss about the translation of written text. So, as a language itself is a translation. The act of recreating language through the reading process constitutes another form of translation. So, communication can take place on several levels. The communication through the artistic creation, the communication through the reading and interpretation of text, and the communication of text from one language to another by transforming them. So, what is translation? Translation is the process of rendering written content from one language into another language. Correctly, translated text or words will convey the same meaning, emotion, and intent as the original message. It will also take into account any potential differences in cultures and phrasing between the two languages. People sometimes use the terms translation and interpretation synonymously, but a translator will work with written text and an interpreter will work orally. The key to document translation is to communicate the same message contained in the source document into another language. Translation means to translate words. So translation is the process of rendering written text from one language into another language. So correct translated text or words will convey the same meaning, emotions, and intent as the original message. It will also take into account any potential differences and cultural embracing translations in the communication of the target language. So the English language throws terminological distinction. Why? Because of under distinction, translation can begin only after the appearance of written within a language of the community. The translation process. So translation is a complex process that only humans are able to do because it is not a scientific calculation or a mathematical equation that could be programmed into an intelligent machine. The process involves the work of a professional linguist translator, usually a native speaker or one who has studied the target language extensively. The translator will translate the original text into a version that captures the spirit and meaning of the original using the right tone and style suitable for the target reader of the translated text. The second step involves a professional editor whose job is to revise, refine, and make the first translator's work perfect to fit the technical expression of the subject matter and to make sure that proper punctuation, use of grammar, and other elements of the target language are met. The third and final step is for a professional project manager to review the final work to ensure that it is in the correct format and ready to delivery to client. The three-step process for translation is to ensure that the precise message, style, and tone stays faithful to the original and closely depicted in the target language. Written translation, often referred to only by the term translation. Written translation is the rendering of a written text in one language in a comparable written text in another language. Central to written translation are the following skills: the ability to comprehend written text in one language, which is the reading skills, and the ability to produce a comparable rendition in written form in a second language, the writing skills, into another. Most professional translators provide only unidirectional translation, as a rule working into their dominant language. Unlike spoken or signed language interpreters, translators often have the luxury of time and other resources to come up with the best way to capture the nuance of meaning in the original text. In written translation, we have to translate the word in the right way. So keep it simple and direct to the point. When you are going to translate, you need to keep it simple and direct to the point because If you will not translate it direct to the point, there is a possibility that many ideas that comes up to your mind that can make your translation not good, that words that you want to convey will be lost. Keeping things brief. Always remember that translation is charged by words. If you are translating words, you need to be consistent to your word choice. You will not be repetitive. Consistency in translation is the key as it prevents any ambiguity if possible for the sake of clarity. So if you are going to translate it, it is necessary to be consistent and clarify your words in order to the readers to understand what you are going to convey or your audience. In translation, it is very important to avoid idioms. There is time and place for idioms, and that's definitely not in any text that intended for translation. In writing translation, there are 3 stages: the translation, editing, and proofreading. So translation means to render a text is in one particular language. It is the accurate transference of information or in order to represent the original document to the target document. This step is typically done with a computer-assisted translation tool. Editing. So editing is a field of translation that referring to reviewing that has been completed in the previous step. The main goal is not only translating but revising segment, ensuring that the translator has made documents that they have completely understood the text. The proofreading. It is a final stage, proofreading or correction stage. It should not be necessary to refer to the original text. This final review focused mainly on the premise that the translated sounds natural and reads smoothly in the target language. In addition, punctuation, capitalization, document formatting must also be checked for possible issues of fonts and image and for any type errors. In conclusion, translation requires intimate knowledge of both the source language and the target language to be effective. Otherwise, the translation risks being literal or worse. A good translator knows how to turn one language into a usable version of another. A great translator makes an effortless piece of writing that the target reader would never guess translated from another. Translation is a necessity for the worldwide distribution and exhibition of films.